Hello and welcome to An Old Guy Does Maths. Today we're going to be looking at Pythagoras. You've probably seen this at school, and if you didn't understand it, that's probably why you're watching this video. So Pythagoras' theorem says that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What does that mean? Let's look at a triangle, because that's what this is about. What the theorem says is that if you take this side, which we've called A, and you square it, meaning that you multiply it by itself, 3 times 3 is 9, and you take this side, which we've called B, and you square it, 4 times 4, 16, you will get this side squared, C, the hypotenuse. This line here is called the hypotenuse. The sloping line on this triangle is called a hypotenuse. It is the longest of the lines. And here it is all set out for you. 16 plus 9, the squares of these two numbers, come to 25. 5 squared is 25. 5 squared, 25. But, as you will have noticed, this side is not 25 centimeters long. So what do we do about that? Well, the theorem says that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we can rewrite that into this formula here. C, this side, is equal to the square root of these two numbers added together. And when we do that, we get the following. C is equal to 16 plus 9, the square root thereof, which is 16 and 9 are 25. That equals 5. And that's our length there. Now we're going to put this to the test. There's a reason that for once I've done this diagram so neatly. We're going to get out the measuring stick. And we're doing this in centimeters, but you can do it in feet, inches, yards, kilometers if you've got room. You can go out into your backyard if you have a backyard, and you can measure out 4 feet, 4 yards, 4 meters. You can then measure out 3. And when you measure from point to point on your triangle, you will see that what you get is 5. Okay, so let's try this with a different triangle. So let's put it to work here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to name the sides. We'll call this A and we'll call this B, and this we always call C. So we're going to use the same formula. This is the basic theoretical formula, the theorem. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this. C is equal to the square root of a squared plus b squared. Now, b is 5, so I'll just do this off camera. A is 12, and we're going to square those and find the square root of them. So this is what we're doing. A squared plus b squared. Okay, so this is the lowest tech math site on the web, I would say. So here we go. C is equal to 144 plus 25, square root thereof. C is equal to 169. Square root of 169 is 13. You can get out your calculator and check that. You're not expected to know your 13 times tables here. So let's just check our answer. So our answer was that C is equal to 13. Now again, I've drawn this carefully for once, and we can get the ruler out, and you can see that that is 12, and that is 5, and that, surprise, surprise, is 13. Okay, let's do this again. Well, let's do something slightly different, shall we? Let's go looking for one of the sides, one of the short sides. We're going to go looking for this. Now, we'll call this C, we'll call this A, and what we're looking for is we're looking for B. I'll just make sure that I write that very carefully as B, and you'll see why in a minute. Now, this tells me that C squared, this squared, minus this squared is going to equal this squared. So how can we rewrite this in such a way that it's easy to deal with? Well, B is equal to the square root of C squared minus A squared. Let's put that to work. Okay. So B is equal to C squared 100 minus A squared. A squared is 8, so that's 64. 100 minus 64 equals 36. The square root of 36 is 6, and you'll see why I wrote the B so carefully in a minute. Let's have a look at this length here. Everything was done to scale. That is 6 centimeters. That, as you can see, is 8 centimeters, and that, as you can see, is 10 centimeters. So, what have we managed to do? Well, we found the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle using Pythagoras. We've found one of the sides, and now we're going to go looking for the last side. And it's the same sized triangle as last time. So we already know from last time that if this side is 6 and this side is 10, this side will be 8. But just humour me and we will get through this. Right, here goes. So A is going to equal the square root of C squared minus B squared. That's going to mean that it's equal to the square root of 100 minus 36. That's a 36. It's not a great surface to write on this, so I apologize for my handwriting. That is equal to the square root of 64. 100 minus 36 is 64. The square root of 64 is 8. This is 8. Again, we'll just check that. This is drawn to scale. You don't draw these things to scale all the time. But this is just for demonstration purposes. 10, 6. I hope this cleared up a few things. I remember my father trying to teach me Pythagoras back in the Stone Age on clay tablets and what have you. And it was not a pleasant experience. It was confusing. So I hope this has managed to unconfuse a few people. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye-bye.